What is your special message?
Truth, peace, and love, and music, and levity.
You probably know Bob Marley as the reggae legend who made the world move to his music, but not everyone remembers the love story that almost slipped through the cracks. This is the story of Bob Marley and Pascalene Bongo Ondimba, the daughter of Gabon's president, whose romance burned bright but faced more obstacles than a hurricane. Their connection started in a whirlwind of fame, politics, and secrecy, with stolen moments that most people could only dream of. Yet love and public life rarely mix smoothly, and theirs was no exception. From private meetings in exotic places to whispered promises that the world never got to see, their relationship was intense, fleeting, and unforgettable. Today we're unpacking the highs and lows, the sparks and heartbreak, and how this unlikely romance left a mark on both of their lives that fans rarely talk about. Bob Goes to Africa. You might think Bob Marley's music was just about good vibes and catchy rhythms, but his trips to Africa reveal a side of him most people rarely see. In December 1978, Marley set foot on the continent for the first time, landing in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Traveling with members of his band and close friends, including Skill Cole, he and Rita Marley made a point to connect with the culture and spirituality of the region. One of their stops was the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, where the couple absorbed the traditions and history that deeply resonated with their faith. Part of this journey included a visit to Shashamane, a settlement established by Emperor Haile Selassie IV Rastafarians from around the world. For Marley, who saw Selassie as the reincarnation of Jesus Christ, Shashamane was more than a destination. It was a spiritual touchstone. While there, he connected with members of the 12 tribes of Israel, soaking in the community and the land that held profound meaning for his beliefs. This trip wasn't just a spiritual journey, it was also a creative one. During his time in Ethiopia, Marley worked on several tracks that would eventually appear on his 1979 album Survival. Among these was Zimbabwe, a song that would become an anthem for the country's independence movement. Its message inspired rebel soldiers fighting for freedom, showing how Marley's music went beyond entertainment and became a symbol of hope. By late 1979, Marley's influence had reached Gabon, where the royal family invited him to perform. On January 4th and 6th, 1980, he played 2 shows at Libreville's Gymnase Omnisport Bongo, connecting with fans in a nation far from his Jamaican roots. In April 1980, Marley made a brief stop in Nairobi, Kenya, while on his way to Zimbabwe for a monumental celebration. Local newspapers buzzed with news of his impending arrival, anticipating the impact his presence would have. That anticipation proved well-founded. Marley's song Zimbabwe had already inspired the nation's fighters, and the newly independent country extended an invitation for him to perform at their first independence festivities. Arriving in Zimbabwe, Marley and his team were welcomed by a small group of soldiers and President Canaan Banana with his family. However, the country was not fully prepared to host a performance on the scale Marley usually delivered. Taking matters into his own hands, he chartered 2 planes from London, rented all necessary sound and lighting equipment, and even covered the band's payment. In essence, he became the unofficial producer of the event, ensuring the celebration matched the importance of Zimbabwe's independence. Understanding the historical weight of the occasion, Marley brought his son Ziggy, 11, and Stephen, 8, along for the journey. On April 18, 1980, the band took the stage at Harare's Rufaro Stadium. The stadium's 60,000-person capacity proved far too small. Another 90,000 people waited outside, desperate to get in. Tensions escalated as fans began tearing down the gates, forcing the use of tear gas that affected Marley the band, and even Ziggy and Stephen. Rather than letting frustration overshadow the celebration, Marley and his team agreed to perform a free show the following night. Their commitment ensured that the people of Zimbabwe could experience the joy and pride of their newfound independence, a testament to Marley's dedication to both his music and the causes he believed in. Marley's African journeys were far more than tours. They were intersections of culture, faith, and activism. From Ethiopia to Gabon to Zimbabwe, his presence left an enduring mark, showing that his legacy was about connection as much as rhythm. Why Africa, Bob? For Marley, Africa wasn't just a destination, it was a spiritual compass, the heartbeat of his Rastafarian beliefs, and the inspiration behind much of his work. His faith centered on Pan-Africanism and the idea of returning to Zion, a symbol for Africa, which he viewed as the cultural and spiritual anchor for all Black people, especially Jamaicans. In 1978, Marley made his first significant journey to the continent, visiting Ethiopia and Kenya. These trips weren't just sightseeing adventures. They were deeply personal pilgrimages, opportunities to connect with the land and people he revered. Ethiopia, in particular, held spiritual significance because of Emperor Haile Selassie I, whom Rastafarians consider a divine figure. In Ethiopia, Marley experienced local culture firsthand, strengthened his faith, and bonded with fellow Rastafarians, cementing the importance of the continent in his life. By late 1979 and early 1980, Marley's influence had expanded to Gabon, where he performed for fans in Libreville. But perhaps his most famous African moment came in April 1980 in Zimbabwe. The country had just achieved independence, and Marley's song Zimbabwe had already become a motivational anthem for the nation's fighters. Invited to perform at the celebrations, Marley didn't wait for arrangements to be perfect. He chartered planes, rented sound and lighting equipment, and even paid the band himself. His dedication ensured that Zimbabwe's first independence celebration would include a musical experience worthy of the occasion. The event at Rufaro Stadium was massive, yet the stadium could only accommodate about 60,000 people. Another 90,000 gathered outside, desperate to hear him play. Tensions flared as the crowd tried to push in, and tear gas was used to maintain control. Even his young sons, Ziggy and Steven, were present during the chaos. Instead of turning away, Marley and his team agreed to perform a free show the next night, guaranteeing that everyone could share in the moment. That gesture was typical of Marley, whose music was always about connection, freedom, and empowerment. Marley's trips to Africa were not only acts of faith, but also political statements. He supported liberation movements across the continent, consistently opposing European imperialism and white minority rule. His music often echoed these themes, inspiring both activists and ordinary citizens. Marley's presence at Zimbabwe's independence wasn't just a concert, it was a cultural milestone, showing that music could unite people and amplify a movement for freedom. The personal impact on Marley cannot be overstated. He described the experience in Zimbabwe as profound, feeling welcomed in a way he rarely experienced anywhere else. He even remarked that staying there felt like a return to his true home, a validation of his lifelong connection to Africa. This connection fueled his artistry, giving depth and meaning to songs that transcended entertainment and became anthems for unity, resistance, and hope. Bob Marley's African journeys were a blend of spirituality, politics, and music. From Ethiopia to Kenya, Gabon, and Zimbabwe, his travels reflected the core of his Rastafarian beliefs and his dedication to the liberation and unity of people of African descent. He didn't just sing about freedom, he actively engaged with it, leaving a legacy that continues to inspire generations across the globe. Gabon's president loves music. You might think Bob Marley's Africa visits were all about concerts and sightseeing, but there was far more at play: spirituality, politics, and even a surprising dash of romance. By the late 1970s, Marley was traveling across the continent, connecting with the lands he often celebrated in his music. In 1978, he visited Kenya and Ethiopia, the latter a spiritual center for Rastafarians because of Haile Selassie, whom they consider a living saint. For Marley, Ethiopia wasn't just a stop on the map. It was a place that resonated deeply with his faith and the roots of his identity. Africa wasn't only about reflection, it was also about celebration. In 1980, Marley became the special musical guest for Zimbabwe's independence festivities. His song, Zimbabwe, had already inspired the nation's freedom fighters, and when he arrived, he invested his own time, resources, and energy to make sure the show matched the significance of the moment. Marley chartered planes, rented sound and lighting equipment, and paid the band himself, demonstrating his commitment to the people and the cause. Despite stadium capacity limits, a crowd of over 150,000 gathered, and when tensions rose outside, Marley agreed to perform an additional free show, proving his music was as much about unity as it was about rhythm. While Marley was leaving a mark on nations, he was also leaving one on hearts. That same year, in Gabon, he encountered Pascalene Bongo Ondimba, the daughter of the country's long-ruling president, El Hajj Omar Bongo Ondimba. Omar Bongo, originally Albert Bernard Bongo, had governed Gabon since 1967, and the Bongo family was famously invested in the arts, particularly music. The president and his relatives were known to host lavish musical events and welcomed global artists into their circles, creating a world where Marley's presence could spark not only admiration, but romance. Pascalene, intelligent and cultured, captured Marley's attention during his visit, resulting in a brief yet unforgettable love story that added a personal dimension to his African journeys. Marley's visits were never casual. Each stop reflected a layered understanding of Africa's spiritual, cultural, and political significance. Ethiopia represented his faith and the Rastafarian dream of Zion, while Zimbabwe gave him a platform to support liberation movements and inspire newly freed citizens. Gabon offered both a warm reception from a family that cherished music and an unexpected romantic chapter that humanized the reggae icon in a way few outside his inner circle ever witnessed. The Bongo family's love for music created a fertile ground for Marley's artistry to flourish. Omar Bongo himself, though a long-standing political figure, appreciated musical expression and frequently encouraged performances in the palace, blending diplomacy with culture. This environment allowed Marley to relax, connect, and even explore the possibility of love amidst his hectic schedule of tours and recordings. Pascalene's presence was a reminder that, for Marley, Africa was not only a spiritual and political touchstone, but also a place where personal connections could thrive. Marley's African journeys captured the full spectrum of his life: devotion, activism, music, and personal encounters. From Ethiopia to Kenya, Zimbabwe, and Gabon, he embraced the continent not just as a source of inspiration, but as a home away from home. His songs and performances carried messages of freedom and unity, but these trips also revealed his vulnerability, his joy, and the human need for connection, even for a global superstar. Meeting Pascalene. You might think first impressions are everything, but in the case of Bob Marley and Pascalene Bongo, they proved that even awkward beginnings can spark unforgettable connections. Their story didn't start in Africa, as many would assume. It began far from the reggae rhythms of Jamaica, in a backstage room at UCLA in Los Angeles in November 1979. The setting was unusual, a basketball hall turned concert venue, but the encounter would leave a lasting mark on both of their lives. Pascalene, 23 and studying in the United States, had already been captivated by Marley's music. She had seen him perform in Paris the previous year and knew his songs by heart, particularly the sultry Stir It Up. Excited to finally meet the man behind the music, she secured a backstage pass, anticipating a warm greeting. Instead, Marley's first words were shocking. "You're ugly." The comment, delivered as he puffed on a large joint, was aimed at her straightened hair, a choice Marley saw as clashing with the natural beauty celebrated in Rastafarian culture. Despite the rocky start, there was an undeniable spark. Pascalene was fascinated not just by his songs, but by the messages woven through them, the ideas about love, faith, and life that permeated every performance. Bob, meanwhile, was drawn to her intelligence, charm, and deep appreciation for his music. The clash over her hairstyle became a humorous footnote in a connection that would soon grow far deeper. The couple's relationship quickly developed into a passionate but challenging romance. Their love spanned continents and cultures, bridging the worlds of a global music icon and the daughter of a powerful African leader. In January 1980, Marley would return to Gabon, and what might have been just another tour stop turned into a reunion. The meeting at home in Africa rekindled the connection that had started awkwardly in Los Angeles, proving that timing, and perhaps a little fate, can turn a rocky introduction into something enduring. Their romance was intense, filled with the highs and lows of lives lived in the public eye. Pascalene's position as the daughter of Omar Bongo, the long-reigning president of Gabon, added layers of complexity. Yet, even amid the pressures of fame, politics, and touring, the pair shared moments of intimacy and understanding that anchored their relationship. Marley's dedication to his music and activism never waned, and Pascalene admired the way he balanced the demands of global superstardom with his personal beliefs and commitments. What makes their story remarkable isn't just the romance itself, but the way it reflects the intersection of culture, music, and personal connection. Marley's critique of Pascalene's hair may have been blunt, but it was rooted in his commitment to Rastafarian ideals. Even in that first awkward encounter, the seeds of respect, attraction, and mutual fascination were planted. Over time, these elements flourished into a bond that would last until Marley's passing in May 1981. Marley and Pascalene's story reminds us that love often arrives in unexpected ways and places. A backstage at a university, a blunt first comment, and the haze of a concert crowd could have been the end of it. Instead, it was the beginning of a remarkable chapter in the life of one of music's most legendary figures. It showed that even icons are human, fallible, and capable of being swept up in the chaos of desire. Their connection, brief but powerful, remains a hidden but unforgettable part of Bob Marley's life, proof that sometimes love doesn't follow the expected path, but it leaves an imprint that endures. A second meeting. In early 1980, Bob Marley and his band landed in Gabon, expecting a straightforward performance. What they didn't know was that Pascalene Bongo, the eldest daughter of President Omar Bongo, had orchestrated the event as a birthday surprise for her father. The catch? The Bongo family had kept their political stature under wraps. Bob and his crew were blindsided upon arrival, realizing they were about to perform for one of Africa's most enduring dictators. Despite the political shock, Bob decided to go ahead with the show. After all, he'd come all this way, and his commitment to his music and message was unwavering. The concert was held at the Gymnase Omnisport Bongo, a modest venue by international standards, but the energy was electric. The crowd's enthusiasm was palpable, and Bob's performance was nothing short of electrifying. But the real story wasn't just about the music. It was about the connection between Bob and Pascalene. Their relationship, which had begun in the US in 1979, had blossomed into something deeper. Pascalene had been captivated by Bob's music and message, and their bond had grown stronger over time. The Gabon concert was more than just a performance. It was a testament to their shared values and mutual respect. The aftermath of the concert saw Bob and Pascalene spending more time together, solidifying their relationship. Pascalene's influence on Bob was evident. She introduced him to African culture and politics, deepening his understanding of the continent's struggles and triumphs. Their connection was a fusion of love and shared ideals, transcending cultural and political boundaries. In the grand scheme of things, Bob Marley's trip to Gabon in 1980 was more than just a concert. It was a pivotal moment in his life. It was a journey that not only strengthened his relationship with Pascalene, but also deepened his connection to Africa. The experience reinforced his commitment to Pan-Africanism and his belief in the unity of people of African descent worldwide. A love affair that was not in the spotlight. Love often arrives in unexpected ways, and for Bob Marley, it hit him between concerts, private jets, and transatlantic flights. The reggae legend, known for his magnetic performances and spiritual devotion, found a profound connection with Pascalene Bongo, the daughter of Gabon's president. Their romance began with an awkward encounter backstage at a Los Angeles concert in 1979, but it quickly grew into a bond that crossed continents and cultures. Pascalene, a 23-year-old student in the US, had already admired Marley from afar, memorizing his songs and feeling the sensuality in his music, particularly Stir It Up. When she finally met him, his first words were unexpectedly blunt. He criticized her straightened hair, a symbol he saw as clashing with Rastafarian principles of natural beauty. What could have ended as a cringeworthy introduction instead sparked something deeper. Later that night, she invited Marley and the Wailers to continue the evening at her Beverly Hills villa. A quiet and intimate encounter without any flashy displays, yet the beginning of a passionate connection. That private moment laid the groundwork for a life punctuated by travel between Libreville, Los Angeles, and Kingston, Jamaica. Pascalene frequently joined Marley on private jets, moving seamlessly between her studies and his music tours. Though he rarely showed affection in public, Marley's devotion to his African princess was clear. He even dreamed of having a child with her, a gesture of deep commitment despite the realities of their worlds. In early 1980, Pascalene suggested Marley perform in Libreville, an event that became a turning point for both their personal and professional lives. The concert went off successfully, solidifying their bond and allowing Marley to experience Gabonese culture firsthand. This performance wasn't just a show, it was a meeting of hearts, a moment that allowed their relationship to flourish under shared admiration and mutual understanding. Their romance was far from simple. Marley's philosophy and lifestyle complicated matters. He was a married man with children from multiple relationships, and his openness to love extended to many women. Pascalene understood the limitations this imposed, recognizing that marriage was impossible, yet the connection remained genuine and intense. "Bob used to say to me, 'Your father will never let you marry me,'" she recalled, acknowledging the cultural and political barriers that shaped their love. Despite these obstacles, Pascalene remained a constant presence in Marley's life, especially during his final months. She visited him every weekend while he sought treatment for terminal cancer in Germany, stood by his side at his funeral in 1981, and maintained a close relationship with his mother, Cedella Booker, until her passing in 2008. Their time together, though brief, was marked by shared experiences, cultural exchange, and emotional intimacy that neither distance nor circumstance could erase. The impact of their relationship extended beyond Marley's life. Pascalene's admiration for reggae never waned, leading her to establish the Abi Reggae Festival in Abidjan in 2015. The festival has featured iconic acts like U-Roy, Morgan Heritage, and Third World, ensuring that Marley's legacy remains alive in Africa. She even honored him in her personal life, naming her first child Nesta after Robert Nesta Marley, a testament to the enduring influence of their bond. Bob Marley and Pascalene Bongo's love story reflects more than romance. It captures the intersection of music, culture, and the complexities of post-colonial African society. Their connection, forged between fascination and misunderstanding, highlights the challenges and beauty of cross-cultural relationships, leaving a lasting imprint on both Marley's life and Pascalene's enduring commitment to his memory. Just who was Pascalene Bongo Ondimba? Few figures in modern African politics have navigated as complex a path as Pascalene Bongo. Born in 1956 in Franceville, Gabon, she is the eldest daughter of President Omar Bongo and Louise Muyabi Mukala, a lineage that would set the stage for both privilege and scrutiny. Pascalene's life has been a blend of political influence, international diplomacy, and personal challenges that kept her in the public eye for decades. Pascalene's career officially began in the corridors of Gabon's presidential office. In 1987, she was appointed personal advisor to her father, and just a few years later, she stepped into a role that would place her on the global stage, Minister of Foreign Affairs in June '91. Gabon's foreign policy had long been entrusted to family members, and Pascalene's half-brother, Ali Bongo, had previously held the post, but was temporarily ineligible due to age requirements. During her first address to the United Nations, Pascalene spoke confidently on issues ranging from the Gulf War to apartheid in South Africa. She praised the expulsion of Iraqi forces from Kuwait, acknowledged reforms in South Africa, but stressed that true progress required more work. She also highlighted the widening economic gap between developed and developing nations, calling it the real problem facing the global community. Pascalene held the foreign affairs portfolio until March '94. President Bongo then appointed John Ping to replace her, while she transitioned to the influential position of Director of the Presidential Cabinet. Her political career continued to advance under her father's guidance, allowing her to shape Gabonese policy from behind the scenes while maintaining a strong presence in international affairs. The death of President Omar Bongo in June 2009 reshaped the nation's power dynamics. Ali Bongo succeeded him, and soon after, Pascalene was reassigned from her cabinet role to High Personal Representative of the Head of State on 17 October 2009. Reports suggest that the siblings' relationship was often tense, reflecting both personal and political disagreements. She remained in office until her removal in October 2019, closing a chapter that spanned more than 3 decades in public service. Pascalene's personal life has been equally layered. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, she had a relationship with Jean Ping, with whom she had 2 children, although Ping was married and unwilling to divorce. Later, in '95, she married Paul Tungui, a prominent government figure, marking another significant step in her personal narrative. Even outside Gabon, Pascalene's life intersected with controversy. In October 23, the Paris prosecutor's office announced she would face trial in early '24 alongside the French construction company Aegis Root, and 5 others, accused of corruption related to public contracts in Gabon during 2010 and 2011. This legal challenge adds yet another chapter to a life already marked by power, politics, and public attention. Despite the scrutiny and the challenges, Pascalene's legacy in Gabonese politics remains notable. From her early role as her father's advisor to leading the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and shaping presidential policy, she has left a mark on the country's governance. Her influence extended beyond Gabon's borders, bringing African perspectives to global forums and navigating complex international issues with both poise and authority. Pascalene Bongo's story is one of resilience, power, and navigating the intersections of family, politics, and personal life. From her beginnings in Franceville to the halls of the United Nations, from high-profile relationships to her upcoming trial, Pascalene's life embodies the complexities of being a public figure in a world where personal and political spheres often collide. Her journey offers a glimpse into Gabonese politics, the challenges of legacy, and the ways in which one woman has left her imprint on both her nation and the wider world. What did the world think? Bob Marley's relationship with Pascalene Bongo, the daughter of Gabon's long-serving president, was more than a fleeting romance. It was a profound connection that intertwined love, politics, and cultural identity. Their bond, though brief, left an indelible mark on Marley and those closest to him. In 1980, Marley embarked on a journey to Africa that would deepen his Rastafarian beliefs and connect him with his ancestral roots. It was during this trip that he met Pascalene Bongo, a 23-year-old student in the US at the time. Their initial encounter was marked by an awkward comment from Marley, who, upon seeing Pascalene's straightened hair, remarked, "Gosh, you're ugly." Despite this unconventional introduction, their relationship blossomed into a passionate affair that lasted until Marley's untimely death in 1981. Members of the Wailers, Marley's iconic band, were initially unaware of the political implications of his relationship with Pascalene. Guitarist Junior Marvin admitted, "We didn't know that Omar Bongo was a dictator. We were innocent, so happy to be invited to perform in Africa." This sentiment reflects the band's focus on music and unity, often overlooking the political landscapes surrounding their engagements. Marley's family, particularly his wife Rita, had a complex understanding of his relationships. While Rita was aware of Marley's extramarital affairs, the depth of his connection with Pascalene was significant. Marley himself expressed a desire to have a child with Pascalene, referring to her as his African princess. However, Pascalene declined, aware of the challenges their union would face due to political and cultural differences. Beyond their romantic involvement, Pascalene played a pivotal role in Marley's understanding of Africa. Her invitation to perform in Gabon marked a significant moment in Marley's life, reinforcing his commitment to Pan-Africanism and the Rastafarian principle of repatriation. Through Pascalene, Marley gained a deeper appreciation for the complexities of African politics and the nuances of leadership within the continent. Though their time together was short-lived, the relationship between Bob Marley and Pascalene Bongo left a lasting impact. Pascalene later named her first child Nesta, after Marley, as a tribute to their bond. She also founded the Abi Reggae Festival in Abidjan, celebrating reggae music and its cultural significance. Their story serves as a testament to the power of love in bridging cultural and political divides, leaving an enduring legacy in both the music world and beyond. Sometimes love doesn't follow the rules, and for Bob Marley and Pascalene Bongo, it certainly didn't. Their connection was brief but unforgettable, a whirlwind that spanned continents, concerts, and private moments that only they fully understood. From that first awkward backstage encounter in Los Angeles to private jets between Gabon, Jamaica, and the US, their story was as much about culture and identity as it was about romance. Marley's deep devotion, even amidst his superstar lifestyle and multiple relationships, revealed how seriously he took his bond with Pascalene. She, in turn, embraced the love while navigating the limits imposed by politics, culture, and circumstance. Together, they shared moments that shaped Marley's understanding of Africa and left a lasting imprint on Pascalene's life. Though they never married or had children, their connection endured beyond his passing. Pascalene's continued celebration of reggae, including the founding of the Abi Reggae Festival and naming her child after Marley, speaks to the depth of their bond. Their story reminds us that love isn't always about forever. Sometimes it's about moments that change hearts, inspire art, and leave a legacy that resonates long after the music fades.